this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and do I have an amazing woman to introduce to you, Lisa Gable. Welcome, Lisa. And Lisa, you have an amazing story of transformation. I would love it if you would share it with us.
Well, I've had an incredible opportunity to do turnarounds in business, government, philanthropy. I started my career in the Reagan administration at the age of 19, was at the Pentagon during the Cold War at the age of 21, and then moved over to the White House. So you can have a greater inflection point than the end of the Cold War.
Exactly. Wow. So tell us a little bit more about, your life. I mean, you've been a mom and
All
wife
sorts.
and
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved out of Washington, D.C. via Arizona and Taiwan to California, and I stayed in Silicon Valley for 15 years. I
wow.
met my husband there in 1994, right after I had left Intel Corporation and started my own company. And he was at Apple. So we had an opportunity to meet, got married 2 years later. We've been married for 27 years as of just a few weeks ago, and
Nice.
adopted our daughter in 1998. And
Oh,
she is our only, and she is working on her profession in Texas.
nice. Very, very cool. And so we're talking about connecting with your humanity. And you were mentioning when we chatted on the phone, about boyfriends and learning how to get boyfriends to treat you the way you're supposed to be treated. And we had a good time with that conversation.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting because I think one thing that we all go through, and I've advised my daughter and all of her friends as they're going through those stages today, is hopefully you only end up marrying one person, or if you marry more than one person, you've had a long and prosperous relationship within the relationships that you have. But the reality is you learn a lot during your 20s. You're coming into the workforce, perhaps you're
Mm,
finishing graduate school, and you're really trying to understand who you are as an individual and what you need to survive and thrive. And
yeah.
you're not going to marry every person you date. And so you learn a lot through how you interact with other people on a more personal and intimate, warmer relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And prioritize finding common ground to ensure we move forward together, which, in a relationship, finding common ground, especially a relationship that's going to be that intimate, aka marriage, you better
Right.
have some common ground. Yeah, I love it. What do you feel is your common ground with your husband?
Well, I married my best friend, and
Nice.
Jim and I have similar work histories, and the fact that we both worked in Silicon Valley, and so we understand the role of business, but also we had our families were involved in politics,
Mm,
and so we actually understand the world of politics and philanthropy because that has been a core area which our families have invested. And we come to life with a desire to really value differences. Even though we may have certain opinions, we focus a great deal on finding the good in people and where we can identify a place that we agree and a place to build a relationship. And the reality is, it all comes down to people, interpersonal relationships. You learn that the most when you go on an international trip, right? Because the reality is, on an international trip, that's when you see how people behave in day to day. And you may find yourself affiliating and spending more time on the bus with somebody that you're politically diametrically opposed to because that person travels the same way you do.
nice. I love it. For me, my husband and I were both in 33-year marriages and started out, as like young kids in marriage, and we call them our starter marriages. And when we came together, it was like so interesting. Is like, wow, my spiritual journey is inner peace, and his spiritual journey is world peace. And you can't have world peace without inner peace. So I ended up finally marrying the love of my life, if you will. And now when other people, kind of find that person, if you will, and we were like, oh, she found her Terry, or he found his Linda. So we've been together 10 years. It's a very special bond that we have and that we share. And probably if we had been married in the early years, would have killed each other and it never would have worked. So that whole live and learn thing. So that was interesting for us. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit more personal about you, and that helps all of us to get to know you better.
Well, it's interesting you should say that you found your person. I think you do that in business too. I find that the
Yes.
older I get, I really understand the types of people that my personality and my way of working works the best with. And you
Mhm.
look for your person in each project. That person, I partner in everything. Even though I may be the CEO of an organization, I am someone who cannot be successful without surrounding myself with very, very close partners so that we can link arms and lockstep move forward and make change together. And so I found your choice of words interesting because throughout my different jobs, I will say, oh, I found my Craig, I found my Dave, I found my Sandy, I found that
That's
person
awesome.
that I had a previous job that is that partner in crime that really helps you be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is my partner in crime as well, because we have a business together. And it's been interesting because we've both kind of gone off on our own and doing our own things, as well as having the business together. So we complement each other. And anybody who knows us well knows that he's the frosting on my cake and I'm the frosting on his cake. So the joke with my clients is like, yeah, and it's Terry approved. And they're like, really? Oh.
Well, we
You
learned
know,
that
we
during
have fun
COVID,
about
right?
it.
I mean, we enjoyed being together during the shutdown. We
Yeah, we
actually
did too.
thrived.
Nothing
And
was really different for us.
yeah, exactly. For us, we both traveled so much in business that actually being home together for a number of
Oh,
months and having dinner together every night and watching
yes.
television programs, that was so
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. Some really good stuff happened for families, that they finally all got to sit down at the dinner table, not running off to sports and dance class and all of it. So I love it. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate it.